Welcome to the Untrapped Podcast, where we're motivated and inspired about success, small business, and personal development. And now, Keith Kalfas.
Check. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. You sound great. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
bro.
Good. I don't hear the mad echo, dude. I could hardly think over how bad it was echoing.
There's got to be some type of impedance issue. I must have an overload with too much technology, and it was making my main camera dashboard cut out. So I didn't trust it, and I tried to go manual, but then you couldn't hear me. So then I switched over. Bro, I got the Shure SM7B. I got the Rodecaster Pro, the A10 Mini Pro. I got 4K HDMIs, 12 monitors, shit all over the place, bro. And everything works perfect. But if you change one little thing to fix it, it can make everything go down, and you don't know why. And I'm sitting here troubleshooting live.
Yeah. You're gone when it still said live. I'm like, this is real life business. Figuring out and putting them out, man.
Yeah. So, all right.
So back to where we were going. Getting out of the field?
Yeah, bro. Out of the field, man-hour rates, being a control freak, loosening the grip on your business. And every time you try to grow a little or hire somebody or put something new into your business, the chaos factor takes off, which is the fear of the unknown can take over. And then you have to go through that learning curve and be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Can you talk about all this shit, man?
Yeah. I mean, like, dude, we just had the perfect example of it right now. You know, what it just happened to you just happens with more people, and there's bigger numbers of it going all the time. You got to pull your shit together with your gear, and one little thing goes, and it screws up everything else, right? And that's exactly what happens in business. Where I was going originally was I was saying that, we get so caught up on wanting things done a certain way that we become control freaks, and it makes it impossible to delegate things. And people might still get an acceptable result, right? They do the job, they do the thing, and it's a good result. And we're mad just because it wasn't done the way we are. Like almost every or the way we would do it. Almost every business owner I know has that exact same thing happen to them. So where you said, like, being able to let it go a little bit, that's challenging, but even to a bigger extent, I always tell everybody, I'll have perfectionists work for me, and I'll have people that are way too lax work for us. And I'll tell them, it's like, there's when I worked in the body shop, there's a 1996 Ford F-150, and then there is a brand new Ferrari, and both need to be maintained different ways. Like, there's so many different ways you've got to think about business, right? What you do on the 96 Ford is not acceptable for the Ferrari. And we all deal with different properties like this. Like, whether we think, unfortunately, our ideal client can have a multitude of different things. And being able to let go of this. The other big thing that happens is us as business owners, or especially if you're trying to be a control freak because you're afraid of messing up and not making enough money or whatever the case may be, we see these little mistakes and we're like, dude, if I don't get it done, I don't get paid. I'm not going to be able to afford the things. The next person's not going to buy. And it really blocks us from the reality. Like, there is perfection way over here, and there is total garbage over here, and just a little bit over is acceptable. And anywhere from acceptable to perfection is totally fine with everybody. And so, honestly, I'm not saying you should let your quality go if you're wanting to delegate, but you got to understand there's going to be things that come up. Like, we had someone in this office right to my right is our admin who is working on scheduling all the mowing in Florida, and she's learning more and more of that. She had a mistake today where something didn't get dispatched, so the team didn't see it. Back in the day, that would have freaked me out. Now I'm just like, show me so I can show you how to fix that moving forward into the future so we can get that right. I don't care about mistakes. The more mistakes you make, as long as you don't keep doing them over and over again, the faster we learn, the faster we grow. And so you talk about getting out of the field, like have an office admin. I took a video as I was walking around here. If we would have went live earlier, I would have showed you like all three offices had people in them, and they were all on the phone hammering through stuff. And I know that's a much different level than someone who's just wanting to get out of the field and wanting to start doing some of the office stuff. But it's all the same thing. You're going to be, I've always been afraid of like running out of money or not having enough money or this, that, and the other. But you've got to separate those fears. And yeah, it's what you said. It's going to be uncomfortable. You got to do uncomfortable stuff. You got to see guys do stupid stuff because it's not exactly what you'd want, or Keith, you've talked to me about it before. You see a guy out there and you're just like, how is this taking so long? Or what, how did you miss the thing? And there's so many things you got to put in place to try to avoid those, like video stuff, show the team what needs to be done on a video so they don't miss things, good plans, good notes, all that. But getting out of the field is a lot about letting a little stuff go so you can actually get to the big picture if you're wanting that. I mean, if you want to have a small company, that's totally cool. But if you're wanting to really grow, you've got to realize there's going to be issues, and it's us as a whole getting there together.
Real quick, just for some context, in your business, what cities are you in? What's the size of your business, and what services do you offer? Like, what's the name of your business so people who don't know you can be like, get some context of who you are and what you do?
100%, because you're got to get me going on something. I get jazzed. Go. You got to stop me. So we are in Illinois, Springfield, Illinois. We're in Cape Coral, Florida. Last year, between the two, we did like 3.6 million. So, Illinois is already doing over a couple million a year. Florida did 1.6. It was our 18 months business down here. This year, both of them will do over 2 million. We're shooting for somewhere between 3 to 4 here in Florida. And, we're shooting for 3 in Illinois. And, it's been super fun.
So you're doing lawn mowing, landscapes, retaining walls, patios, drainage. What are you doing?
That's what I'm getting to. It's been super fun. But what we realized in Illinois, we did way too many services. And that makes it much more harder to do what we're talking about. In Illinois, we do gutter cleaning, pressure washing, mowing, fertilizing, excavation, retaining walls, pavers, you name it, we do it outside. Brush clearing. Yeah, I can't. The list is too big. We're condensing the list to the things we're really good at. Yeah, we do drainage. You said that. Lighting installs. Just anything.
How do you even teach employees all that shit?
It's crazy. Really have luck, and we crank through it, and we do all that, and still make money. And we've.
I tried too many services, and I was pulling my hair out. I failed miserably trying to do it, and I had to go back down to the few services. How do you do that?
Where I'm going here is we are shrinking.
It's because you're such a genius, and you can wake up and go to the gym and eat fucking steak for breakfast.
Oh,
give us the answer, Godar.
No, what you said is right. Like, reducing the services. Basically, the things that we suck at, we're getting rid of. In Florida, we're more profitable because we're honed in. Like, we mow lawns, we do pool maintenance. Those are like one and the same here, like the mow crew does both. And then we have landscaping, and that's it. So, like light landscaping and LED, like lighting, very general around the house with planting, and it's super repeatable. So that's why we make so much more money here, and we're so much more profitable, because it's easy. And we've got it down to where a bunch of people can learn it. And so since I separated from Illinois, the reason we were able to do it is because I was heavily, heavily involved in everything. And any service, we learned it because I was the person who probably did it first. I mean, heck, we used to finish concrete. I was the guy that finished concrete. Like, that's why we got out of concrete, because concrete couldn't get finished.
Unless Jacob was there.
Exactly. So we're reducing those jobs, and we try to hire skilled people that can do a big set of those things. And a lot of those things are so general. There's so many things in the service industry that are pretty general, and if you have a skilled person, they can do a lot of them. But we're always looking with the team now. The answer to get to what you're saying is like, be asking the people you're around, hey, what other services do we want to add, and what should we get rid of and ruthlessly get rid of because we're just not good at. And that's where it goes to the man-hour rate thing. I don't really need to be like, I pick what services we do and what we don't do based off of, we know our man-hour rate. We know what it needs to be for certain sectors of our business. It's going to vary a little bit between landscaping and lawn treatment and mowing. There's a spread there. And I know hitting our numbers and we consistently can't hit our numbers, we're going to drop the service. It's either.
So if you can't consistently hit the numbers you need to hit in your man-hour rates, according to the spread, and I'm sure you have it all dialed in mathematically, scientifically, exactly, then you have to drop that service.
Yeah. We're not going to do something. Obviously, there's training. Like when you first say you're going to start a landscaping business, all you do is softscaping, and you're trying to keep it easy. You're not going to be that efficient until you really learn what you're doing. So there's an amount of time that's a given. You've got to learn. After you have given it enough time to try to learn, you still can't be profitable at the thing. Yeah, we would 100% drop a service. And that's how we like figure out the services we want to market more. You know, we look at the services we're highly profitable at. That's one.
So how do you define profitable? Is profitable where everybody's making money, the owner's making money, and the business is making some money? Or is profitable like to the point where you can eventually offer, I don't know if you do or not, like your employees health insurance and benefits packages and for growth? Like, how do you define profitable?
So profitable would be obviously very different for other people or for different people, right? Like me, I want a certain number. Like our goal is to get to 30% net profit. That's our goal in the business, you know? And so with that being said, I do offer all those. And that's what's going to make it like very different. But that percent like can be a goal for anybody, whether you offer a little or offer a lot, like you still have that big percent goal, whatever that is. So for us, it's 30, you know, that's different for each location. Illinois has been getting better and better. It's in the 13 to 14% range last year. Florida's a little over 20 now, you know, they're trickling up in the right direction. And so we do, to go into those things, we do offer a 401k with a 3.5% match. And we do have health insurance. We do have, you know, paid holidays for pretty much every holiday under the sun. We do events. Heck, like a lot of our Florida team just got back from a 9-mile Tough Mudder that, you know, the company paid for. Axe throwing in Illinois, axe throwing. I mean, we do a bunch of stuff together to really try to promote culture. And that's a whole different side of all of this. But to me, it's a number, like I've always wanted to push that percentage towards 20, 30, really as high as we can get it so we can afford doing more things that are going to make the team better, whether that be in the form of a benefit or whether that be in the form of a bonus. Like everything's structured around, you know, really watching our profit. All of our team, like our landscapers, they get incentive money if they hit certain profit percentages. The Mow team, they get incentive if they bring in a certain amount of money a day plus hit their hourly rate. Like if a Mow team brings in over $1,000 a day and they do it at $65 a man hour from the time they clock in to the time they clock out, they can get up to $3 an hour extra over the whole course of their week. So there's a lot of different things in place. And I, you know, Caleb Almond well, and I was talking to Caleb about some of the stuff. He's, God, you got to have a lot of people watching that shit. And you do. I mean, but it's all grown with us a little bit at a time. You know, we a little bit more and a little bit more. And you're talking about getting out of the field. That all starts with, you know, really just separating and getting some people doing the work and starting to learn about management and stop thinking that like this business being good is all about being a good technician, because business being good is not about being a good technician. It's about understanding a business, understanding the numbers, and understanding how we can try to work together and actually produce something for us. So,
well, I just had a vision. Imagine like you're at a picnic table and there's like the ships with all the cargo. It's your business and employees.
Yep.
And you're over here and you got like a chessboard and you got a little sharp pocket knife and you're carving chess pieces out of wood. Like Michelangelo, you're building systems. You're over here doing deep work, bro. And one of the ships is on fire. And every time you put down your high level system creation stuff, the brain stuff, to go run and put out the fire. But if you don't, that ship's going to sink. So do you eventually have other people putting out fires for you? How do you get yourself in a Zen-like state so you can actually do growth-related deep topic things and have, you got a wife and kids and you got all this stuff going on, all these employees?
Yeah, that's a really good question, right? And obviously it's not all day long that I get to do Zen stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of fire putting out. I focus on like, hey, here's the 90, I do like 90-day planning and I know what I want to try to get done this week. I'll have a few.
Wait, you schedule time to do planning or you just, no, I'm just going to plan today? Or do you schedule planning in? So you plan planning.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit, but not super. Don't over how hardcore this is. Yesterday, I just said, hey, I got an hour. Last Thursday, I got an hour to think about what the game plan goals are for the next 90 days. Okay. And then what do, you know, daily to hit those goals. You know, in Florida, our next big target's like we want a $300,000 month. Right after that, will be a $400,000 month. So like, what are the biggest pieces that I can contribute to help get those things? You know.
So what are they? What is the role that you play in your business?
If you are looking for the greatest software ever to run your business on, go to getjobber.com/Keith. You can create proposals, invoices, collect payments, and track your entire business directly on the Jobber smartphone app. If you want to get a totally free trial of Jobber right now, open your browser, type in getjobber.com/Keith, and after the trial, if you decide to sign up with Keith's link, you'll automatically get 20% off your first 6 months. So what are you waiting for? Go to getjobber.com/Keith.
For me specifically, now it's all big picture stuff. Tomorrow I have a lunch to potentially buy out a company that's doing around $500,000 in sales here in Florida. And then later at 3, I'm looking at a new shop, expand and have more storage space because we don't really have a good shop set up. We're pretty much just in a professional office here in Florida, and we use parking areas for all of our equipment. And so it's bigger stuff that's going to move the thing as a whole. And that's the little questions you're asking are really good for this overall topic, because the big problem happens is when you're one person and you start a lawn and landscape business and you go out and you do the thing, you weed eat, you mow, you shovel, you're really influencing 100% of the revenue. Once that gets to 10 people, if you go out and do the same thing, now all you do is influence 10% of the revenue. And that just keeps going down and down and down and down. And so if you don't start doing tasks that influence the whole thing, I want to push a lever. If I have 10 employees, I want to push a lever that affects everything. I don't want to push a lever that only contributes 10% to the whole. So I guess
what's that lever?
I mean, that lever's a lot of things.
Is it ever changing?
Always. Because when I started in Florida, we went from nothing to a fair amount of stuff going on in a short amount of time. I mean, in our first 9 months here in Florida, we did like 480,000 in sales. And then the first rolling year after that, 1.6 million in sales. So things change really, really fast. Along a lot of that time period, though, the biggest priority for me was sell stuff. And I've already done the get out of the field once. So for me to get out of the field, I need to hire as many people as possible in the field to keep work running. And I need to get someone in the office to help answer phone calls and keep customer service. That's been the mathematical form for me. So that's what I did when I came to Florida. Got someone in the office ASAP, and I started trying to get some people figured out in the field. And then my goal every day was to go sell stuff. So go to network meetings, go hang door hangers, go do whatever. I got at least an 8-hour day. And if I don't have anything, I'm going to do something that would create those things. Door hangers, knocking on doors, anything, calling people. So for an amount of time from then until probably the last 4 months in Florida, it's been my whole responsibility to sell as much stuff as possible all the time. And in the last probably 3 or 4 months, we've now hired someone in sales. And so she does all the sales here in Florida. I do a very, very little part. Like so far this spring, I'm looking at my dashboard right here. I've sold like 73,000 in sales this year. Yeah. Sold $433,000 in projects. So like I sell nothing compared to her now.
Now, wait, is she selling them going out in the field and quoting?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so interesting, because I'm thinking about the scheduling nightmare that all this creates. I know in my business, say, I got so sick of answering the phones that my wife answers a lot of the phones and does the scheduling as like a receptionist. And then Jill's office taking the overflow phone calls and doing all for any of the hours that my wife can't. And then me going out and doing all the marketing and sales, and then having a crew out doing all the labor and all the work. And just at my smaller level, if a guy can't show up on a Monday, it causes, a whole bunch of phone calls that I have to make. That's really frustrating, or that my wife has to make, or something like that to keep everything, your promises to all these customers. So if you have 16, 20, 30 employees and people can't show up on Mondays, or they're late, or they don't tell you they had a dentist appointment, you have to have all these policies and procedures in place to detach your emotion from getting frustrated, to like make it. How do you systematize that stress and communication?
I love this stuff. Like you're going in so deep and so many answers to all this. What I'm going to tell you, one of the big struggles for me that I can flat out tell any contractor do what we're doing. Like there was a time where I didn't have enough employees, and it was a frantic frustration because anybody gone was a nightmare. And that changing the more and more crew members we got. And then just recently we had, for GrowCom here, we had my last boss. He was one of the speakers here at training day. And he brought up a thing that I'm like, dude, why didn't you tell me this forever ago? That's genius. And we talked about it. We talked about it in the car before he came here like a month ahead of time. And it was just as simple as contingency planning, right? So you're talking about a team member not showing. What?
Hey, settle down. I'm getting my shit right here. You think I'm not going to take notes? Contingency planning.
Yeah, it was just as simple as called contingency planning. And basically, he had a body shop, right? And the mentor that named our business, I don't even think I said the name of the business, Scooter's Lawn Care. I was supposed to say that earlier. It's really easy for me to get off track. But the person that helped name the business Lawn Care, he put a room at Zara's, the body shop, the guy I'm telling you. And Brad, the owner who came here and had said, man, a guy wouldn't show up and a car couldn't go out that day. And then I had pissed off people. And Jimmy, the guy who helped me name Scooter's Lawn Care, said, Brad, what's the contingency plan? Brad's looking at him like, well, we do the work tomorrow because we're screwed and we can't do it today. That's the contingency plan. He's like, no, you're supposed to have someone else for that to fall into their hands to manage that, to make sure it still happens. And basically what happened and what he said is what we went to. We overhire people now. We have more people all the time, because where I used to think, man, I can't afford extra people and it's going to cost us too much money, I realized it's the exact opposite. Having extra people allows us, every day you say that a job doesn't go because someone's not there, well, that costs you so much in potential revenue that you would have got done if you just had someone extra step in and keep that job moving forward. It would way outweigh not being a job. And that was the same thing they realized. They realized they had 27 employees and with so much time off that if they just overhired 4 extra employees to cover several positions, it was like a net positive because they were still able to keep things rolling and they didn't lose any money, even though
this is a math equation.
Yeah, a little bit. I will say that
people involved, obviously, but it's math.
Yeah. And, mine's less like, I will say a lot of what I do is I run 100 miles an hour forward. Yes, I get mathematical about stuff. And yes, I try to make sure it's right. But we hire, we push, we add people. And then we kind of shake it out as it goes, because I figured out his contingency plan because about a year ago here in Florida, we got down to where we didn't have enough employees. And I promised the team, give me a week and we'll never have it happen again. And from that point on, I told everybody we're interviewing. At first, it was two interviews a week forever. And then it became 4 interviews a week forever. And so we're always interviewing. We're always hiring. We're always probably potentially doing some firing, or someone's leaving too, because there's certain positions that.
No, you got an HR department in this mug.
Yeah, I mean, there's attrition, right? Like there's people that are going. You've had people walk off. You've had people leave. You had to fire people. And the whole goal is to have people sitting on the bench or someone that you like that you just met. Even if just because you interview people doesn't mean you have to hire them. Hey, I'm putting names and faces and I'm trying to see if you'd be a candidate for a future position. Because a lot of these people, the best employees are working somewhere else. And they got to do 2 weeks notification anyway before they quit if they really care about their job. So even if I offer them a job, they might not be able to start right now. So I'm trying to find everybody, have them sitting on the bench to potentially be working for us in the future.
Bro, I've been able to identify one thing.
Yeah.
Most people, I can relate to this. I'm not saying all, maybe it's a smaller percentage than most. Let's say some landscapers are running their businesses scared with one foot on the brake.
Oh, yeah.
And so it seems to me that this motherfucking NASCAR foot on the gas directly into your fears and pains. Just head on. Talk about that, bro.
Dude,
you ain't no bitch, bro. Let's go. I said a word that you can't say no more. Sorry.
No, it's all good. You're in a weird way right. Like, and I think a lot of it came from me having the relationship with racing motorcycles. Like I've went through a lot and almost died over there. And so doing this, I realized that like, no matter what the mistake is, I'm not going to die. Worst case in business is you go bankrupt and like whatever, like a lot of people go bankrupt and come back and super successful people have done it more than once. And I'm not saying anybody should aspire to do that by any means. or be reckless. But I'm saying that like everything that happens in business is a potential opportunity to learn. And yeah, the things that have helped me grow the most have me being been me being under pressure all the time. And I think it's why I'm getting into like the hardcore long distance running stuff now too. I told my wife sent me a meme the other day, and it said the meme said, I run early in the morning so the rest of my day won't suck that bad.
Yeah.
And so now I bought a cold plunge, and I get in a 50-degree cold plunge right after I make my coffee in the morning, and the rest of my day is not going to be that excruciating. So I'm looking for those hard things, and I run into the hard things because that's what's going to help us build the company.
So you're doing this alpha male stress management type stuff.
But that's side notes to all of what we're already talking about. Yeah, I'm always doing something goofy and
cold plunges,
cycles, or whatever. But what you said is like going into these things, you stack the ability to learn that you're going to get through struggles a little at a time. Like what Keith had a hard time with 4 years ago would probably be pretty easy to Keith now, you know? And that's how it is for everybody. So I just try to keep adding those as quickly as possible. So I keep trying to bite bigger and bite bigger and bite bigger to grow the company and push things forward. Because I realized over time that everything I get put up against, I already go in knowing I'm going to figure it out. It's irrelevant. Doesn't matter if it looks like I'm going to lose it all or whatever the situation is. I'm going to figure it out.
So your mindset and your worldview is one that's proactive. You're like, I don't care what it is. I'm going to figure this out. I got this. Yeah. So what about some people? So there's a fear that says, if I'm so overwhelmed with just what I have going on now, my bandwidth is already too maxed out. I don't even know how the hell I'm going to handle that. So people are afraid to pull the lever that grows their business, and they're trapped because they can't even handle what they got going on now. And it feels impossible. It feels overwhelming. Like they're going to miss more events with families, or miss date night, or not get to the kids' dance recital, or even miss the funeral, or like, cause when you're growing your business, I mean, I've straight up showed up to family events covered in dirt, exhausted, sunburned, falling asleep at the table. Yep. So how do you like navigate those? I know it's a big question.
Yeah. I love this because these are all huge questions where we could go in any direction on. There's a lot of different things we could hit on. And like for that, if you're stressed out in business and you're that wired and freaked out, like you got to figure out like what the priorities are. And you got to figure out like, if you're that maxed out on bandwidth, you only have as like a percentage as a pie, you've only got the 100%, right? And you get chipping away at that with all these different things that happens. One of the worst things is I see like a person with a bunch of relationship problems, and that eats up 99%. and it happens to, I mean, I know that because if me and my wife are not jiving and we're fighting about something, where I just like, I feel like I've done something where I'm like, try to make her happy about it because I've been a dick, whatever. Like it takes all my bandwidth because I care so much about things. But same thing happens with business. And if you've got a bunch of different things and you're overwhelmed, you got to look at like, what hats can I take off? And then if you're like, well, I can't take hats off because I can't afford to pay anybody. Well, then you need to go back and focus on how the hell do I make more profit? Because if I can't afford to pay anybody, it means I'm not making enough money. And if I'm going to have to grow, I'm going to have to hire people. So I need to start with figuring out how to make some money. And if you can't figure it out, that's where you network with people. You get with other business owners. You find mentors and show them. It's like you're not on an island. Everybody else has had these problems too. So you can get to the point where you can hand things off. Because I couldn't do any of this stuff without a bunch of people on my side. Like, could not keep up with the YouTube stuff I do without someone editing and uploading the videos. Could not keep up like that. There's people in both offices that just
you got me fired up.
Yeah, just couldn't do it without people. So you have to figure out a way to get other people on your team and keep building that team so you can handle more and more. But you also have to get a shit ton of work and have a shit ton of employees driving money so you can hire people. You know, like my goal now is to get as many people in the office. Well, no, I shouldn't. That's wrong. That is, I wish we could redact that from the statement. But I want people overall, and because I do have a few field techs that I see the opportunity to make it too. I want to get as many 6 figures a year as possible. That's one of my big goals.
As many what?
As many of my team members making over 6 figures as possible. That's one of my big goals.
So you have goals beyond your fearful, selfish self. You're thinking, I'm not saying that's you, but I'm talking, drawing this dynamic bandwidth, this juxtaposition and comparison to, instead of thinking about me, I, you're thinking about elevating your team members. You're thinking about culture. You're asking yourself bigger, higher quality questions.
Yeah. Yeah, because I couldn't obviously we all want to, it's capitalism, right? Like we all want to build companies, grow more, make more money. But like the ability to give back and help my team earn more money. Like that's the cool thing, because that's what's going to take you like all the way. It's the whole keep it small and keep it all type of mentality is never going to get you real far. Like I want to have a jet someday, or at least sometime. I want to be able to do, like Andy Frisilla said something awesome. Your dreams should be so huge that all of your employees' dreams can fit inside of your dream. You know? And that's where my mind's at. Like I looked at the Callie is the person I keep pointing over this way. She's in that office. And I looked at her and we were talking about stuff. And I'm like, if my goal was to make 80 grand a year, how do you feel about working here, that knowing that's my ceiling to make 80 grand a year? How much do you think you're going to make in your life? You know, working here. And so yeah, it's way beyond me, because I know that as a team, you know, you want to go fast, do it alone. You want to go far, do it together. And as a team, we're going to be able to accomplish so much. That goes back to, I need all these people to help me create stuff. Couldn't do it without them. Like all the times I'm at events and doing all the stuff, like the last like month and a half, I've been gone for a week, every other week, flying somewhere. Some of it's business related. A lot of it's business conferences. And that's trying to learn more, to do more, to help this mindset and everything we're talking about. And like, I could never do those things without badass, awesome, dude. We got awesome people. And that takes a lot. You're talking about these people with a fearful mindset, not being able to hand anything off. This shit didn't come overnight, and none of it easy, and it's still hard.
Are you working close with your bookkeeper and your accountant, or like a business coach or consultant, somebody above you that helps you kind of map this stuff out and see, in order to be here this quarter, next year, we have to hit these profit margins, these goals, these percentages? Do you have a budget that you're reviewing often?
And this is where everybody needs to figure out what their wheelhouse is in their business, right? For me, my wheelhouse is numbers. I love numbers. Like, it's been one of the things that's probably helped me. That was the only thing I was good at in school. Like everybody else hated everything. I hated math. I love math. And so to answer your question, which is a great question, and everybody should have, yes, I have an accountant that is badass. They are on top of our books for everything. They do all of our payroll. They almost act kind of like a partial CFO, but I'm still the person setting those metrics. I'm doing the budgeting. I'm setting, like, these are the targets, but it's not just me. It goes back to what we talked about. It's me and my team. So if my team and I should say, when we get together in spring, we're bringing the budget to the table, and each group is going and we're looking, it's like, where do we think we can hit next year? With that being said, let's put in all these rates to figure out where we need to be in each division. And well, okay, we're going to add in another office person. That's going to add to overhead. And then look at what that puzzle looks like for this year, which then is going to spit out like, okay, we need this much in landscaping, we need this much in mowing, and we need this much in this sector. And then we kind of can divvy it up from there. And is it going to shake out? Exactly? No, because all budgets and stuff is all made up anyway. It's just to be a guiding point, to have some kind of path. And so say it says we need to do 500,000 of mowing. Well, maybe we only do 300,000, but we do 300,000 in excess of our budget in landscaping, or whatever the numbers come out to be. So yeah.
There's this quick thing. I had this other visual real quick. So some people feel like they're on the surfboard and the wave keeps pummeling them. They're like, how the fuck am I going to? But there's this interesting thing is when you go for it and you become 100% committed and you get on the surfboard, and now you're cresting the wave moment by moment. You're riding the wave. You're in control. It's like, I feel this thing that you're in this very proactive alpha. I don't mean alpha male, because there's alpha, beta, delta, theta. There's these different, this is state of consciousness where you realize you take 100% responsibility and accountability for your business.
Yep.
It's kind of like that t-shirt, like everything is my fault.
Yep.
So what is the transition point or the transcendent point between being somebody who feels like they're at an effect in their business or a victim to actually getting on top and making shit like this happen? What was the shift for you? Or was it multiple shifts over time? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
Looking to maximize your production in the field? Ballard Products has over 300 products that can help you get the most out of your efforts every day. Ballard Products. Whether you are looking to get a better cut, keep your gear on your machine, keep your expensive equipment clean and safe, or just get the most out of your machines, Ballard has you covered. Ballard Products. Jump onto our easy-to-use updated website at ballard-inc.com to get your gear ordered today. Keep grinding. Stay safe. And have a great season. Ballard. Make sure to use the code Keith10 to save 10% on our full line of gear. That's Keith10.
I always had a really good mindset, right? And I think I could contribute some of that to that last person I worked for. Got me into like conferences and self-development. He was my first exposure to that. He sent me to something and it taught me a lot. And I've always known how important mindset was. I mean, that's in racing. It's the same way. Like a poor mindset won't help you in anything. And so one of the things I feel like I just got lucky. Like I didn't ever really have a victim mindset. I knew it would not serve me. I watched so many victims around me. And then, from that self-development thing he sent me to, and then shortly into my business from reading, educating, and other stuff, I really stayed away from like a victimhood mindset. And I don't know, there's no like, how do you switch that? Like,
so you were able to recognize a victimhood mindset when it came up, or like the whack-a-mole game, you could just hit that fucker whenever it started to pop up, or you were able to get so far upstream that it didn't even occur to you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my stuff would be like, I would just look at myself and be like, hey, you can't complain. Like, I would really like look at myself and be like, you just can't be a little bitch about this. Like, you can't, there's no one cares if I cry and whine and play victim. None of my employees care about that, right? And there are times where I'm not some perfect superhero by any means, but I know that that's been one of my strong suits. That's why when we talk about mindset or something, I love talking about mindset. I don't know what it was that made it that way. I feel like a lot of it was racing, because when you race motorcycles, you would break bones, and if you could physically still ride, you would. And you had all these things where you would go no matter what, and I feel like that's helped me a lot in business to not get stuck and say, why me? Because
first time we really hung out with that restaurant in Miami, everybody was drinking and hanging out and talking, and I look over at the table, you're over there by yourself, fucking chilling. Like, this guy's different. And I go sit down. I'm like, what's up, bro? Jacob Godar, bro, what up? And I'm talking to you for a second, and you're like, oh, I'm just about to go to this Tony Robbins event, trying to hit 10 million. Like, everybody's chilling and having a good time, and we call it monomaniacally focused. Robin Sharma said that. I keep thinking about that, man. And now I'm not tracking, I just see you on the internet. We talk time to time, and I see you just over the past, 2018, 19, 20, 5 years, you just hockey sticked.
Yep.
And so can you contribute a lot of that to going to conferences and getting around other people that you're looking up to where they're at?
100%. And then I would think that would be when you're asking, like, how do you get out of that victim mindset? If you know or have success in your business and that you think that could be a contributing factor, that would be something huge. For me, it wasn't the victim mindset of anything. It was just, I always had this big scarcity around money. That was my biggest issue in business. And that's why I started really going to that to get over that. But conferences and being around people, the network it's given me, the people it's put me next to, the people that had said, hey, I believe in you if you needed money or you wanted whatever, or on the housing side of things, people saying, I'd be a hard money lender if you want to flip houses. Like it's gave me all of this connections for people that we can all work together and help on stuff. And
so you're not afraid to invest in yourself and take out your credit card and spend $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 grand plus plane tickets and flights and hotel to invest in your education. You take out your credit card, you pay for high level advice.
Yeah, 100%. Like my wife just texted me and said, this is going good. And must be watching. She's going to hear this. And this is me bragging on, I've got the most amazing wife in the entire world. And she's fucking incredible. And I don't know how I could do any of this without her. And,
Amen.
Every person's only as good as the person behind him, or the person with them or beside him, however you want to say it.
That's a fact.
And So I remember being at the Tony Robbins conference that I'd already paid. God, how much has it? Yeah. In Palm Beach. This would have been at the one you're talking about. The Tony Robbins conference. I paid $10,000 to be there.
Yep. And I was asking you, I was like, you paid $10,000? And I was like, how did you get yourself to do that?
Yeah, it was scary. And it was extra scary that was already in the off season. You know how it is in Michigan, right? You know how the weather is where you're at. Well, the same way in Illinois. Off season, things are slowing down. You're like, I don't have a bunch of money coming in. And so right before I'd met you, I was in Palm Beach at the other one. And it comes up that they're like, hey, you can get buy one get two or whatever. And so you could go to the next version of this, and it's going to be in Amsterdam in the next like 8 months. And I go outside and I'm like, this buy one, get one deal. I call my wife and I say, hey, should I do this? We don't have the money to do this at all. I'll be pulling $10,000 off the line of credit, but if we do it, I can take our office manager in Illinois and it'll change your life. And she said, I don't know why you even called. You should go back in there and buy it. And that's how, but I've been lucky to have that. Like, she's always, like, with all the financial stuff I say I struggle with. It's like, Jacob, you've been like this all your life. You stress over these things. And I've never once seen something bad actually happen. Something bad comes up and you figure it out. And so, yeah, I've spent tons of money. I've spent tons and tons of money on personal development. And does that mean you should go out and spend those? If you are drawn to it or called to do it or feel like it's going to be life-changing, it was for me. I know Zoe, the person I'm talking about that I took as my office manager, now she wants to be a life coach. She's in on Tony Robbins forever. She's like, it helped her so much, and all that stuff helped me a ton too. So yeah, 100%. I got a ton of value out of it. Unfortunately, I love Grant Cardone stuff. The event you went to, I love the 10X Growth Cons. Unfortunately, 10X Growth Cons are not the most value driven. It's more excitement and fluff, where there's a lot of other stuff where I got like straight gold out of. And I feel like you picked a bigger event that was good. The best part of the event that we saw each other at was that I paid for a high dollar ticket and I was behind the stage for a lot of time networking, you know? And that's not going back to saying everybody should spend a lot of money, but yes, get a gob from these events. And there's a million times in my business, not just in these events, where I've spent money that I didn't have to do things that I didn't know how I was going to accomplish.
I love it. I'm just letting all that sink in, bro. So, all right, I'll tie all this back in to the question I didn't even ask is, how do you even know what your man-hour rate is? How do you define that? How do you come up with that? What's the formula?
Yeah, formula there. Well, we'll dumb it down because what I do looks really complicated now because you're getting leveled up a little bit and a little bit for a really long time. I mean, for the most part, that's a simple equation. What all does it cost you to run your business, right? This gets more complicated as there's more and more people. But so
minus owner's pay, owner's salary, like what does it cost you to run the business? Or you're add it all in?
When I figure net, like when I say I want this net number, it's like I might take draws out of the net profit, but it's going to have some reasonable owner's wage in there, right? Maybe it's a lower owner's wage, maybe it's a higher, whatever. But so when I'm figuring all this stuff together, it's going to have owner's wage in, it's going to have everything in the budget. So when I look at my budget, it's going to have the software we use, like all the overhead things, software, office people, me, anything, cell phones, right? All of that stuff added together. That's your straight up overhead. And then there's like all the cost of goods sold that go into making the job. That's your employees. That's your truck, your mowers, your skidsters, your whatever, your uniforms for all of those people, the fuel. And so there's these two different sectors. There's the overhead and there's the cost of goods that actually makes all this happen. Obviously, people talk about material. I don't really budget material. Like material is something we just, you add markup to. So it's all about getting the man hour right. So this is excluding any kind of like guess on material, because material would only be a guess. You would have no real idea. So we take all of these things, and really the most rudimentary way, I've got a very, very basic version of this, is we add it all together and we divide it by the assumed amount of hours we have to produce it over the course of a year, right? So if you have two people out there that are going to be producing work and they can work 100 hours a piece a year, or say 1,000, right? probably closer to 2,000 something. Let's say 1,000, then you would have 2 people out of 1,000, you have 2,000 hours. And so you would divide what it costs you to do business by that number. And that's working you towards a man hour rate.
And the only way you can get that accurate number, you're talking about billable or non-billable? Are you talking about port to port? Like from the time they put the key in the truck or the time they actually punch in to punch out?
See, you're digging deeper and deeper. We would have to get together, look at an Excel sheet and go down this to really get. But yeah.
But then you have them clocking in and clocking out of jobs with the CRM and you're tracking all the numbers, right?
Individual jobs. But yes, my true numbers, like I look to recover my overhead in 8 man hours, right? So
okay,
window to window, port to port, however you want to say it. And the reason I've always said I recover overhead in 8 hours is because if this made up budget that is hopefully as true as possible, if you get into overtime, then it's irrelevant because my overhead that's already recovered at 40 hours goes away. So my $20 an hour goes away per man hour. And now if I pay overtime, it's irrelevant because I've already recovered my overhead. So yes, that would be window to door, however you say it. That's when I'm looking at my hourly rate. And you can dig down into this stuff so much. So for me on my spreadsheet, I got to assume how many crews I'm going to have for this year. That comes from our goal, and then that comes from how much can a crew do to figure out how many people are actually going to be there to spread that, because it can draw down your pricing when you start getting a lot of people out there and you've got a lot of usable hours to spread all your costs across. It's a big math equation, and to do it justice, like I said, it's a much deeper conversation. But the ultimate deal is how much it totally costs you to run your business, everything included, divided by the total amount of hours you've got to produce work. And then now with that's going to give you some kind of number. That's your break even number. From your break even number, now you add your margin to it. What do you want to make? And then that's when I'm going to assume I'm going to shoot for 30%. But in my business, it's not 30% on every service. It's a blended net profit that I want to make. So maybe I make 15% mowing, but I make 40% spraying lawns. And then I make something in the middle, landscaping. And then when they blend out, they're close to the goal I want to hit.
Dude, I love that. How you're actually kind of compartmentalizing the different services and figuring out the man hour rate and the profit margins for the services. And that makes perfect sense because the longer you put that trajectory out is that you can actually try to say, oh, we're making more money here, less money here. But are there some necessary evils like milk in a grocery store? They don't make any money off of it. That draws people in. They buy other stuff. Like what about lawn care specifically? Are you still maintaining a profit margins on lawn care, or is it an access point to all this other business?
I'm not into running loss leaders. So I want to make money on every dollar in the business.
Or you're not doing it like you said earlier. You're out.
And because ultimately, like lawn care, everybody says you can't make money. Like I've got this person, and I hate it for him because I wish I could help him. But someone who's commenting on the YouTube channel, and he must be in Southwest Florida, and he always says like, "Can't make money here. I told you I made money here." And it was like after a video where I just said we were making a 20% net profit. I'm like, I don't know where you missed the profit thing, but like so many people have that opinion, right? And then so they think they can't make money mowing grass. Like we don't focus on mowing grass. That's what makes this easy. We focus on landscaping. We have really high prices on mowing. And so, yeah, we get a lot of requests. We don't land that many of them, but we slowly build up a really profitable route because our focus was not on mowing. It was over here on landscape. But
so if you're going to do mowing, it's going to be profitable or you ain't doing the shit.
Yeah, exactly. Now there are caveats, right? I'm going to go sit down with someone and they do like $450,000 to $500,000 worth of mowing here in Florida. And I know that if it's profitable enough and I sprinkle all those lawns into my route, I'm going to be able to be even more profitable on the stuff I already do. Because if I can mow the whole block instead of just mowing one house, it could be advantageous to take those on. So there are things that like I would have to evaluate differently than my normal way. But yes, normally I'm setting out for that 10 or 15% profit, even on mowing, because the other deal is I want to be able to pay my team members more. I want them to have a better job. I want them to have benefits. I don't want to have to deal with like competing like over $1. That's stupid. I want to have stuff on our side where people want to be here and won't leave.
Yes.
So it takes, and that's why I tell them, it's like, I'd love to take everybody to like a Tony Robbins conference, this and go do that. And I love to fly everybody to Florida for a Christmas party. So instead of doing 2 huge blowout Christmas parties like we do now, we could just do the one company-wide Christmas party. All things take profit. And that's why it's so important to be able to make sure you have good profit.
Awesome. All right. At this time, I'll transition into some of the comments because people have been waiting. I see Mac from Mac, Lawn Care to a Million, Lockman, Fred Likens, Rich Blood, Jeff D'Angelo, what's up? Jim Duffin, Austin Butler. A couple comments right here. Total revenue. And actually, can you read the comments? Can you see them?
Yeah, I can read it. You want me to read it?
Mm-hmm.
Tiny. So use my squinting. Total revenue divided by total man hours to perform revenue plan equals man hour cost. Divide man hour cost by
reciprocal
of percentage you want for profit. Selling man hour rate. I'm not 100%, but it sounds like it's in a thought out direction.
He was going along with what you were saying and said, that's it. I got what you're saying, bro.
Yeah,
that's what he was saying.
And the math shakes out. That's what matters. And a lot of times I say stuff so fast.
And it was good. And thank you, Fred Likens. Thank you for that. Appreciate that, bro. Mac for Mac. Oh, Mac for M4N. I see him all the time. He's cool. What does he say?
Oh God. Yeah, that's been me because I find people are so hard to manage. When's lunch? I need the bog. Chatting to anyone that'll listen. Haha. Landscape laborers are a nightmare. See, if you always say landscape laborers are a nightmare, you're going to make them all a nightmare. That's the problem. If I say if I say some negative thing, I just impose my thoughts on you. And fortunately, you do that with our team. Like, I'm not trying to get down on what you're saying at all, dude, because I get it can be frustrating. And there's times where in my mind, I'm like, dude, it's just, how am I going to make this work? But ultimately, you have to know that if a company has got big out there, I got a company 35 minutes away from me, and they might have the craziest employees in the world. I don't know, but they do 115 million a year with 1,100 employees. And so if someone can do that, you could do anything in your company. And so having that mindset of you can't make money mowing. That's bullshit. That's a broken mindset. Like, you can make money mowing. You can make money doing anything. You have to charge the right amount, sell the right kind of people. Same thing here. Like, laborers are a nightmare. I mean, there are a lot of struggles with employees, but I would rather have a lot of employees and be able to bring value to them and create opportunities for people than not have any employees at all. Because I also want to make a lot of money and have them make a lot of money. So.
Jill's office provides friendly, professional receptionists for small business owners just like you. We can help answer your calls, and we can even schedule estimates and jobs for you. Try Jill's office today and get a $25 discount when you say Untrapped. Just go to jillsoffice.com.
Rich Blood here says, shit ton of work is the determining factor, clearly, but how to jump from solo operator making enough for time spent over to many employees running the business while I oversee. I don't know if that was a question or not.
I feel like I think it's a question without a question mark.
A shit ton of work is the determining factor.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, if you want to figure out on how to get out of, we'll sum this up and be more concise this time, not go off on a trail. If you just focus on marketing, sales, and production, and consistently focus on getting better and better and better at each one, you're going to be able to have that big load of work. That's the deal, though. Same thing people won't do. They always put the cart in front of the horse. They say, once I make money, I'll market. Well, that's kind of backwards. You have to market a lot so people will know about you, so you can get the work and make it happen. So yeah, you got to have a lot of work, and that whole transition, that takes a lot of time. And you've got to start putting people in place, and you've got to just focus on those 3 things all the time and grow and grow and grow it. And you'll grow yourself out of where you're in the field doing the work, because you'll have to be selling stuff. You have to transition to focusing on sales.
Bro, I'm going to be full transparent. I'm at the point now where even dealing, I love customers. I love all my clients and customers, but even walking around a property with a customer, performing a sales quote on a property walk and talking to the customer and writing up the quote, makes me want to jump out of my skin. Like I feel like my time is so scarce and so valuable that I can't even do that anymore. It's like, and I'm doing it, but I'm super qualifying each customer, and I almost feel like I don't want to give off a negative vibe to the customers and lower my closing rate. But I'm just trying to be tip of the spear, bro, and it's going through some growing pains myself. And we got Carmen Knowles here, says you make more money mowing 7 months than if you worked 40 hours a week all year, 12 year round. What does that mean? Like a job or something?
I think they're just saying, you make more money mowing grass than if you have a job. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And definitely. If you're out on your own, a lot of people don't like accountability in general, and it's total accountability to be out on your own and you control what you earn. And so if you don't earn a lot of money, it's your fault. And if you earn a lot of money, that's also your fault.
Kent Petras says, how do you know when you're at the point where you can start to hire office people and or managers? So good question.
Great question. Great question. I've heard a lot of, how do you know when you're ready to have your first kid? It's also extremely hard to figure out. And most people that have a kid weren't ready and didn't plan it. And then it happened. They figured it out. And this stuff happens the exact same way, other than you get a little better opportunity to plan. For me, when I was doing 250 or 300,000 in revenue, it was already coming unraveled for me to manage stuff. And so I was getting someone in the office. So this is about starting early and trying to understand how you're going to have profit, be profitable. And then you're going to, once you get to a certain point, for me, that was the point, 250, 300,000. But when we started Florida, before we were even making that, we hired someone in the office because I know we couldn't scale unless I put someone in the office so I could go sell all day long and answer the phone. But if I was looking for it and I'd been transitioning through the business phases for a while, that's a decent number, I would say, right there. And when you do it, when I did that at the 250, 300,000 mark, it didn't feel comfortable. I didn't know how I was going to afford it, but I realized I couldn't afford not to do it. And it exponentially grew my company when someone was there to manage customer service and answer the phone all the time and make sure stuff was instant. And that's how we've always kept it. Now in Illinois, we've got four people in the office, and we've got 3 people in Florida right now. And we have an answering service on top of that to catch even more calls so the phone doesn't go unanswered. So people don't hire because out of scarcity without realizing that if you put someone in the office, how much more you could actually have.
Love it. Great answer. Oh, he's just agreeing. He doesn't do property walks anymore. He makes the customers upload photos and the info he needs. Some stuff, man. I do have customers send me pictures, and I can quote some things, but there's a lot of stuff I've done that, and I've gotten to the job and be like, oh shit, I just quoted something over a picture and it looks way different.
Yep.
And but there are things you can have them quote over a picture. That's true. I like that. James Dawson says, why visit each job? Since COVID, I get a description, 2 or 3 photos, and the address. I can look up on Google Earth so much better and sort the waste. Not a waste of time. So yeah, and with the window cleaning business, we do 100% on Google Earth. If we have to get better pictures, we look at the house on Zillow, and we can basically see every single window and skylight on the house. Maybe we might miss a skylight, but it's worth it to not have to drive there. But if I can get a way to do video chats or something, I like this idea of not having to do in-person quotes.
Now, I want to hit on that, what he just said. Google, the thing the next guy said too. You can do a lot. Doesn't even have to be hardcore. I guess it's hardcore pre-qualifying. I have pre-sold, I don't know. It could be any number, but I've pre-sold like a $27,000 or $30,000 landscape project without going there. Just by meeting with a person, doing phone consults, having Google Earth, having some pictures, knowing what they want. And we've got our numbers broken down enough where we can be in the ballpark really, really close. Like any softscape install, I would darn near feel comfortable doing it all off of Google Earth, but there's still stuff you're going to see when you get there in person. And, but so I can be within a couple $100, couple $1,000 on a $30,000 job. And then I know and haven't wasted anybody's time. And then I can say, hey, and then we can come out and finalize this. And that's when you can give me the deposit check if this number sounds good to you. So that's another way we do that.
Dude, that's very clear what you're talking about. So you're qualifying the customer over the phone, and you're basically sub-communicating, hey, I'm going to serve you as the highest level that I can, but I'm not driving all the way across town and coming to meet with you unless I'm collecting a signature and a deposit check.
Yeah, and I'm sending that quote too. Like they're not getting a quote. I'm giving them a quote based off of that phone consult and that time spent. That one, it was 45 minutes away, and I didn't want to drive up there unless it was for sure. And I think it ended up being over $30,000 project because they kept adding to it. But I did all of that, sent them the quote, and I just put in the notes that this is not final until site walk, And so hey, this is where it's going to be close to be. And yeah, there's so much in sales where you can talk to them about, if this is going to be a little bit more because there's something we didn't see on the pictures or on Google Earth, is there going to be any issues with that? And then you already know, like they're going to tell you, well, no, I mean, we got more budget to work with. I would like to keep it there. And you're already building rapport before you even go out and meet them and saving them time too.
Bro, that's so it's like, oh my God, I could be doing that right now. So these customers, like, we have all these arborvitaes around the pool and we want them trimmed. We want these things transplanted and we want some decorative stone here. And I could be like, okay, send me some pictures, close and far, about 7-8 pictures. So they send me the pictures. I can look at it and call, hey, Bob, it's Keith Kalfas Landscaping. I looked at everything thoroughly. We've done this 1,000 times and I've done 1,000 jobs just like this. And I can tell you right now over the phone, you're in the range of $3,800 to $4,200. Does that sound right, Bob? Now, this is just over the phone. It's not, contract. And when I get there, it could be within a, 10% difference.
Yeah.
But does that sound good? So if the customer's saying yes, and they like that, that's within their budget, then we take it to the next step where I'll actually go out there and get a signature and a deposit. Yeah. But there's no point in going, dude.
And you can put that wording one step further. You can say what you just said. Hey, it's going to be between the $2,000 and $4,000 range. Are there any questions about that? No, there's no question. Okay, so if I go out, is there any reason that you would not say yes, sign, and give me a deposit if it's within that range? Can we at least agree that when we go out there in that range, you're ready to go? So, I mean, you can take the conversation even further. There's so much stuff with sales. A lot of this, though, for us, is, when it's big and it's far away, because here in Florida, we're starting to web out for large projects to areas that are 45 minutes and an hour away. And we want to know that to get out there, we want to know that it's qualified and nobody's wasting their time.
Bro, I feel like I'm getting paid right now just being here right now.
Hey, great. That's all I ever want. Like, that's the only reason I got a YouTube channel. I want people to learn and do better in the business, so less people complain about not being able to make money. It's just like any business. You can make money if you do it well. And anybody can do it well. I'm not a super educated person. I'm not even that smart. Like, I just keep asking questions and get a little bit better all the time, and you can do anything.
I love it, bro. Dr. Lawns Yard and Property Maintenance. Keith, I've been listening to your podcast for 2 years, going on 3 years. Thank you. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you. This is on the Untrapped podcast with Keith Kalfas on all podcast platforms. Not iTunes anymore. It's Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, all of them. Just type in Keith Kalfas or Untrapped podcast. It pops up. And so if you are just tuning in now, I'm with Jacob Godar, 3.6 million, 2 locations, lawn and landscape business, super successful dude. And we're going to get to a couple more comments and then we'll jump off here. But I want to make sure I acknowledge you because I like to keep these under an hour or a little over an hour now. But adversity creates opportunity, says Sunset Mowing. And I'm reading them now because you said you had to squint to read them. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's good. That's good.
Jeff Rozek, Dilly. What up, Doe? Carmen Knoll. He says, I gave prices over the phone in the past. Never again. You had a bad experience, but don't let it stop you.
But that's the deal, though. So I hope he's still on. Listen to this. Yes, if you gave prices over the phone and stuck to them, that's a problem. If you were to say it's going to be, Keith says, we've got the arborvitaes. They're huge. They're green giants. They're massive. And we're going to trim them for this. And he gets there and is like, dude, that picture did not do those justice. We could not see how far in the fence or whatever the case may be. And
you get there and the power lines are growing through them.
Yeah, the power lines through the whole thing. And like, if you say, I will trim it for $1,500, point blank and done, that's not how you do it. You say, here's the range, the price that's going to be close to. I've got to do a final site walk for verification. All it is really to do is pre-qualify. And if you're good at what you're doing, hopefully you're at least close. This this situation you're talking about, Cameron, is a situation where you are not close and you needed a disclaimer that that was not the final price.
Yes, because the customer could take a picture of the quote unquote arborvitaes and they're standing up 5 feet higher than the hill, and then you didn't realize the bottom of it. The mugs are like 28 feet, and you can't even get to them without a spider lift machine. Yeah. And you don't own a spider lifter now. You got to spend $1,200 renting one. Crazy stuff. All right, Javier Macias. How do I say his last name? Macias.
Man, I'm not sure. I'm not good with names. No.
What software do you guys use to run numbers? I know we use Jobber software for all the quotes and invoicing and billing and customer follow-up. Go to getjobber.com/Keith to get my exclusive discount. And we use QuickBooks. What do you use?
So like a lot of our number running stuff back in to build up budget and whatnot, all pretty much all of our running business stuff, which does all of our costing, all of our numbers, all of our clocking in and out. That's all Service Autopilot.
So you use Google Sheets and Service Autopilot.
Yep.
Good answer. That okay? Yeah, we use Google Sheets. That we use. My bookkeeper sends me a Google Sheets and then everything on a PDF. Yep. I just met with my accountant. Literally, I just got back from doing quotes and was with my accountant before this, and back on the horn with the bookkeeper, getting everything finalized and just finished the taxes. It was awesome.
I know. Time this year?
Huh?
You finished your taxes for last year?
Well, corporate taxes were due March 15th, but personal taxes April 15th.
Yeah.
Why?
I just never. I just live in the land of where they get extended every year. I'm never before October 15th. And you're looking at me like that's crazy, but I don't.
It's if you can get an extension.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was going to congratulate you because we're usually trying to tie up so many loose ends that it seems like it never happens. But
I'm booking out entire days to do taxes, 1 to 2 days on the calendar before only because I'm scared that I have. And to be transparent, I have had friends that just scare the crap out of me, like, well, you better pay Uncle Sam or he's going to come after you, bro. So I'm calling my accountant, the bookkeeper. I actually annoy them. I'm calling them like crazy and emailing them and asking them so many questions and running all these scenarios to the point where I oversave for taxes. And every year when I finally, get everything finalized, I'm like I make it up to be this huge thing. That's sorry.
I have a question for you. I haven't got to really ask you anything. One question. How often do you meet with your accountant?
I talk to my accountant on the phone every quarter, but we only meet once a year now, and we do everything over Google Drive.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Something that's been really good for me that I think makes me not feel as worried about it, I guess, is every month. Like at the end, if the end of this month, usually by the 15th or the 20th of the next month, we're going over the numbers, we're going over where we're at, how they think, am I have any blind spots that I'm missing? And then by October the following year, or in October, that's when we're talking the tax game. Do we need to buy stuff or because we're always investing and growing. And so then we're trying to potentially smash our tax bill if we have investments that need to be made to better our business into the future. So just thought I'd ask because I know so many people don't meet with their accountant that much, and it's not super, super expensive. We just do it over the phone, do a quick rundown. Tell me what they've came out on the final numbers after everything was reconciled for the previous month, and just to know we're pointing in the right direction.
I love it. I do talk to the bookkeeper every week. Huh?
No, I mean, I guess my bookkeeper texts me a lot, but the accountant every month. Every month we meet with them and go over it. But we're to the point now where like anything, I mean, I've got personal number for the bookkeeper that works for the accountant. She's texting me like she's running information there for a while. They're giving us weekly consolidated P&Ls. Like I've went from trying to do too much, like weekly was too much. Now we're back to monthly. You know, we used to be at quarterly. So we're always trying to like play around with what's the right amount of information. We realized that weekly was so much so fast that it was never that good. Start at the beginning of the month and a consolidated P&L in the first 7 days is a total mess because it just doesn't have enough stuff on it yet. So
you probably got a lot more stuff going on me than I as well. You're at like 3.6 million.
But still it all compiles though. So whether it's $100 or $10 $10 million. You know, like it, if you start it small and it keeps building up with you, it just builds good habits. It's something I wish I would have done. I fought with trying to get a good accountant for years. And now I got so much peace of mind just meeting with an accountant every month. Worst case scenario, in a rush or in tax season, we might go 2 months. But I still think it's important whether there's a lot going on or not. So just throwing it out there.
No, I like that. I'm gonna call my accountant and say, hey, can we meet monthly? Because I'm obsessed with being on top of everything and looking for blind spots. I found a blind spot that was my fault not communicating with the bookkeeper. I basically have an American Express card that you can pay off over time with no interest. So I made purchases on it through the media business, and then he makes a journal entry in QuickBooks, and then it's a tax write-off if it's a legit business expense. Well, yep. Like I have an American Express card. I'm getting haircuts and we're going out to eat on it. And some of those are actually legit write-offs, that the business meeting ones. But he can only see the transactions on his end. And he doesn't see what everything is for. And I just thought he knew because everything's completely categorized. But we have like 21 different streams of income trickling in from all the internet stuff and all the. So it's complex. So it just got lost in the mix. And I went through everything with a fine tooth comb, and I go back to my bookkeeper. I'm like, hey, we have to fix this. So then I had to go through, because on like Amazon, I have like 4 different credit cards plugged in. I'll make business transactions and I alternate which credit card. So it keeps the books organized. Does this make sense?
Yep.
So anyways, I had to go through and create a spreadsheet and have them make separate journal entries, and it took a few days, and then we had to go back to the accountant and then get everything fixed and finalized just in time.
Yep. They're always on top of me because it's like a marriage with us and the accountant at this point.
Yeah.
Every single account, they've got the logons for every bank account, credit card account. They can get in, they can look at anything and everything. And I'll get texts all the time like, what was this random amount of money? You know, verifying things. So
actually, I can't say that. Okay, I will say, because people are like, what's he talking about? A friend called me and scared the crap out of me like a month ago. He's like, bro, you need to take some money out of the bank. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, the banks are going to crash. I went to the bank and I requested because they won't give you money on the spot. You have to request it, and you have to fill out a thing. And it's like, so I was going to withdraw a sum of cash out of the bank because I was a little nervous. Yep. And then I told my friend about it, who's also a consultant. He's like, no, don't do that. Don't go take a bunch of money out of the bank, because then it's going to trigger the IRS and it's going to look fishy, and you're going to have to fill out a form, and then they're going to look at your accounts because it looks weird taking a whole bunch of money out of the bank. So then I went back in the bank with my face red, and I was like, hey, I don't need to take that money out of the bank because I was just a little nervous. They're like, everybody's nervous right now. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry. And then I walked out of the bank so.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. What I'm saying in the middle of that is just total BS that you have to go in and have a pre-request to get money out of the bank. It's crazy what money is and how little people know about it. But a whole different story.
So derivatives and okay. Let's look at these. Commingling, rich blood, Rudy Roeder. Any advice finding a good accountant? How do you know when it's time to look for a new accountant?
If you're constantly frustrated with the situation with your accountant, you don't feel like numbers are there, you don't feel like things are right, you feel like you always have to ask for stuff, probably the time.
You probably outgrown your accountant too.
Yeah, and everybody starts small. Like we had a friend, liked her, she was great for a little while. Ultimately, what I've realized is I don't want people just blowing my head up, just trying to make me happy. I would rather somebody just be, hey, you're an idiot. You're doing it wrong. You know, that's a much better relationship to me than trying to make me feel good. And that's kind of where I felt at one point. I felt like they were just, it was more fluffing me up and think I'm doing well. And I was also having to like kind of beg and try to get things done. It wasn't a timely enough manner for what we were growing into. And it was time to find someone. And as far as it goes, just like for hiring an employee or hiring marketing people or whatever, I mean, get referrals. Find someone online and then tell me, I want to talk to 3 other people you work with that got a company like what we've got.
Bro, I love everything that you just said. It was so fun having you on the show. I'm going to end it here. Jacob Godar, how can people find you? What's your YouTube channel, bro?
Just Jacob Godar, right on YouTube. Jacob Godar on Instagram. Jacob Godar on Facebook. The company's is Lawn Care. If you ever want to check out any of that stuff, Grow by Design is the podcast. A lot of really cool stuff there. The coaching group is actually on jacobgodar.com. That is GrowCom. And those are all areas you can find out about everything we have going on.
Okay, so Jacob Godar, Godar, on all social media platforms, including YouTube. Your podcast is Grow by Design.
Yep.
If people want to learn how to work with you, I'm not trying to tell you to pitch or anything, but you have a website, jacobgodar.com.
Jacob Godar, same spelling, everything.com. And you can find out more there about the coaching group. That opens up quarterly. We're always bringing on new members into that. Really, really cool atmosphere there. And yeah.
Dude, I love it, bro. Thanks so much for being on my show. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. We'll see you next time on the Untrapped Podcast tomorrow at 4 p.m. Tune in. We got Tommy Mello, 4 p.m. And thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, I hope you liked the show. And if you like the Untrapped Podcast and you get value from it, can you please take a minute and go over to Spotify and leave it a well-worded positive 5-star review? It helps boost the rankings on Spotify so the show can get to more people. Therefore, these messages can get out to more people and inspire more people so they can go out and start their small businesses and crush it and get to the next level. It's a huge deal. All right, I'll see you in the next show.